Five, four, three, two, one.
Good evening, Zeb. Hello.
Good evening. If you can hear a funny noise in the background, it's my dehumidifier on. Yeah, it's sticky. It's windows are open everywhere, so.
And have you got St. Winifred Squire standing outside ready to burst into song?
No, I haven't. It's just I don't mind it, but I've had the blinds nearly shut all day. It looks like someone's dying.
Afternoon, Mick.
Good afternoon.
And Pulsar.
Good afternoon, chaps.
Tim Henry of Music Life. Welcome in. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the madhouse, as I say.
Yes, indeed.
So, it's been a mixed week for me. I've got an itchy nose, and I just hope it doesn't do what it did the other week.
I've got that countdown tune in my head now. I can't get rid of it.
Good evening, Terry. Hope you're well. 10,008 people have watched the channel this week.
Ooh.
21 new subscribers.
Well,
oh, my nose is really getting on my wick.
Right. I know what to get you for your birthday.
Hang on, Dave. I'll be 2 seconds.
Not a problem. Do you want? There he goes. It happens. It's the pollen count. He's got it high. I haven't. Anyway, nice to see so many of you. Hello, Terry. Good evening. How's everybody been? I trust you've all got in mind something from the 1960s, a song that defines the 60s or part of the 60s, something that triggers memories. That's our talking point tonight. So I hope you've all got something in mind. You can all pop it in chat at some stage whenever we kick it off. Let's see what else has been happening. Rocky has been surviving. He was making his presence felt up until about 30 seconds beforehand. Then Iain fed him his. Hello, Richard. Welcome in. Ian's off scratching his nose, which is a polite way of putting it. He's got a bit of hay fever. There it is.
Yeah, that's better. I hope. Yeah. There's sometimes when I'm recording in the mornings and I'm going.
Right. He's got his amber nectar. I've got my amber. I've got a very nice amber nectar that comes from a little place about 6 miles up the road from where I am. It's called Belfast Lager. It's very nice. Tim has come up with
Distant Drum Linda on. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Anyway, where was I?
Richard can barely remember what he had for breakfast today.
So, yes. Well, how was it? Where did I get up to? Yes, we had 21 new subscribers. It's still. I'm going to be doing this all night. I can. Yes, so 21 new subscribers. So what have you guys been watching on the channel? Well, here's a surprise. At number 3 with 54, the Robin Trower ranking part 2, 13-1. I wonder if that's anything to do that it comes at the end of the new album that I reviewed.
Could be.
Could be. At number 2 with 100 views is Elvis Costello in the 80s. I think I surprised a few people. But number 1, and rightly so, Slade Tear singles
Tier
ranking.
ranking. Yeah.
Yes, 208. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a long one. Yes, Robin Trower. We're big fans on this channel of Robin Trower. Well, I am. Top short last week. Led Zepp 2.
Oh.
1 2 1 2. Yeah. Now I put that up right. First time I put that up was in 2023. It had a measly 30 views. So I thought I'd take it down and have another go. So yeah. So great album. So yeah, Rocky. I don't know what Rocky's, but yeah. Richard says hello. I know what he wants. You'll have to wait until I've done this.
Well, do you want to change things round and go and attend to His Majesty?
What do you want? Are you just barking because you want to? Yeah, he's not adding for the door. I think he's just
making his presence felt.
his presence. So there, if you can just see him in the gloom, because I've got the blinds down. Yeah, so 28 days. That was 44,131 views. Not bad. 67 new subscribers, which is about right for the 28 days. What have you been?
Oh, don't be complacent. Say thank you.
Thank you. He's had his live stream.
Oh, he's had it. He's already had it.
He wants it again, Richard. Yeah. So what have you been watching? Well, how's this? Simple Minds, which I've done way back.
Oh, that is long.
Half Man, Half Biscuit. Now that's quite interesting. When a certain person comes up, okay, Mike, and we'll mention it when Nick gets it. Nick's going to be a little late. Michael might not be up tonight. He's hurt his hand. He's not very well, so he said he might. If he doesn't come up, that's why. Anyway, so Half Man, Half Biscuit, 113. But of course, at top already, Slade Tear singles, and the top short of the 28 days was the little tribute I did to Mick Ralph's, and that's 1,803. So the big figures. This is the one I like. 827,509.
Well done.
And we're now at 2,928 subscribers. We're ever close to 3,000.
Heading towards 3,000.
So this is the bit Dave likes. I'll do the short first. Paul Diano still there on 4529. In the actual videos, number 5, Mr. Riggs and his artwork at 4586.
Right.
Number 4, Mike Oldfield, 4612.
Ooh.
Now at number 3 is Jethro 2, 4796. So Mike Oldfield is closing in on Jethro Tull now.
Ooh.
Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but he's finally got. He's finally
Get some go.
Yeah.
Blade still second on 5586, and rightly so. But status quo still heading. I think no one will ever catch that. That now stands at 11,451. Very first video, and it's still getting 30-40 views a week. That's incredible.
It is.
It is. Ralph, what a loss, yeah.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to see him once. Right, it was brilliant. Okay, so what have I been listening to in our little laundry list thing? So Fairport Convention, we're nearly there. I've done 21 of the 29. Mythos 4 of 18, which I'm really enjoying. Atomic Rooster 4 of the 8. Been listening to Soft Machine, and I actually listened to the 3rd album yesterday, all the way through.
Ooh.
I know it is bizarre in places.
I gave it a try, and I found myself skipping it.
Yeah, I had to. It was. There's sometimes. God, this is crazy. New Model Army 3 of the 16. Shoes, great band. Thank you, Pulsar.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm really enjoying this. I'd never heard any of their stuff, but boy, am I enjoying it. And I've listened to 2 of Jimi Hendrix posthumous albums, and we have finished Gary Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah, Zeb, you done half pick 'em. Yes, I am really enjoying Shoes, Pulsar. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy Gary Wilson as much, but yeah, I've done it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Eccentric music. That is putting it.
That's being polite.
Yeah. But I'm joking apart. I love it when Zeb sets a challenge. He's been setting me challenges now for years, so I really enjoy it, because when it comes up, when Dave says, "Oh, so and so's coming out," and it's one of Zeb's, and I go, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" But I mean, I do enjoy listening to different stuff. It's not about what I like. This isn't. It's about what you guys like, and you're sending me down rabbit holes galore. So that's what I've been listening to. He's headed towards the door. He's sitting there patiently. So I'm going to go and sort out the dog.
Okay, so you do.
Matches, and dispatches.
Okay. So, as usual, those who have departed, those who have birthdays, those who got married and maybe divorced, and we'll give you the result of last week's sophomore. So, those who have departed, the dispatches. Well, Thursday last week, Danny Lademacher, Belgian rock guitarist, he was in Herman Brood and His Wild Romance, Vitesse, and The Radios. He unfortunately passed. On the 4th, we had 3 people pass. Now, one of them doesn't have a wiki page, and he hasn't been mentioned on the list of deaths in 2025, but unfortunately, Kevin Riddles, bassist and keyboardist with Angel Witch, passed. Also on the 4th, Louis Jardim, Portuguese pop rock percussionist and bassist, and Mark Snow, American film and TV theme composer. I go, why are you including Mark Snow? Because he wrote one of the most iconic TV themes you'll ever hear. He wrote the theme to The X-Files. Doo-dee-doo. Anyway, those are those who have passed. Others have, but they're not. You don't want to hear about opera singers and weird and wonderful art. Anyway, birthdays today. We've got 13 birthdays and 2 additional notables. So 45 today is Jessica Ann Johnson. She's an American singer, actress, and fashion designer. And you're going, who the hell is Jessica Ann Johnson? Well, she was actually born Jessica Simpson, her of the big blonde hair. 49 today, and I feel sorry for this guy. His name is Elijah Sky Blue Ullman. There's a clue. He's known professionally as P. Exeter Blue I, or Philip Exeter Blue. He's an American musician, and he's the son of Cher and Greg Allman. 51 today is Imelda Mary Hyam, who the hell is Imelda Mary Hyatt? Well, she was born Imelda Mary Clabby. She's Irish, but she's professionally known as Imelda May. Singer, songwriter, TV presenter, and multi-instrumentalist. 53 today, and some of you, probably Zeb, will know the name of Thilo Wolff, German musician and artist. He's a founder of the band Lacrimosa. 55 today. I thought, what? He can't be that old. Jason Thomas Orange, English singer, best known for being a member of Take That, but he has retired from entertainment. 11 years ago, September 2014, he retired from entertainment. 64 today is Mark Riley. Mark is an English radio DJ. He's an alternative rock critic, musician, and former music businessman. You can currently hear him on BBC Radio 6 Music. 67 today is Bella Anton Leos Fleck. He's an American banjo player. Why American banjo? Why are we including a banjo player? Well, he is an acclaimed virtuoso of the banjo, and he plays music from bluegrass, jazz, classical, rock, and various world music genres. So we thought we'd include him for that. 68 today is Dermot Fergus, better known as Derry Grehan, or Grehan. He's a Canadian guitarist, best known as a member of the rock band Honeymoon Suite.
Yay! I've seen it.
71 today, and Iain went, what? Neil Francis Tennant. Yes, he, English singer, songwriter, music journalist, and co-founder of the Pet Shop Boys. 72 today is Richard Gordon Emmett. He's a Canadian vocalist, guitarist, and member of the hard rock band Triumph. 73 is Joseph M. Mitchell. He's a Canadian rock musician. He was the lead singer and guitarist for the band Max Webster before he set off on a solo career.
Are they on the list?
Max Webster? Yeah. I don't think so. I will check.
Do we think, Gallery, should we have Max Webster on the... They're not on there. Max Webster.
No, they're not on there.
Yeah, I think we better put them on.
Right, I shall investigate and see. Let's see, where do we get to there? 74 today is Cheryl Wheeler. She's an American singer-songwriter of contemporary folk music. Iain knows her music, so that's why she's included. Now, granddad of the music artists today is an American folk singer-songwriter. He's known for singing songs of protest against social injustice and telling storytelling while performing his songs. He's following the tradition of his father. His father is Woody Guthrie. The son, whose birthday it is, 78 today, is Arlo Davy Guthrie. And his best piece, you all know it, Alice's Restaurant Massacre. So we got +2. Well, 80 years young today. Oh my God, she's still around. She will be because she's at Wimbledon this week. Sarah Virginia Wade, British former professional tennis player. She won 3 major tennis singles championships and 4 major doubles championships. And it currently is the only British woman in history to have won titles at all 4 majors. So happy birthday to her.
Yeah, when she won Wimbledon in 77, we had it on a big screen at school.
I know the whole, because that was Jubilee year.
Yeah, so we watched it at school. We had it. It was, I don't know how they done it, but they got it on a big projector screen on the telly. Or they did it, but we was watching it in the hall. The whole school.
Yep. Oh, everywhere were tuned into that. I think it had one of the biggest TV audiences in the UK at the time.
Yes, brilliant. Remember that day? I will always remember that day watching Virginia Wade.
But grandfather to them all today, and the reason he is being included is he's a centenarian. 100 years young today is Mahathir bin Mohamad. Who? He's a Malaysian politician, author, and doctor. He served as the 4th and 7th Prime Minister of Malaysia. He's the country's longest serving Prime Minister, having served for a cumulative total of 24 years. And his political career, now considering that he's 100 today, his political career has spanned more than 75 years.
That's a long time, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That is.
So happy birthday to him. It's not often we get a centenarian. Matches, the marriages. Well, 2 matches and 1 dismatch. And it's going to link back to one of our birthdays. So, the marriages. 1994, Anthrax guitarist Scott Iain married American Debbie Leavitt. They got divorced 7 years later in 2001. In 1997, American rock musician Chrissie Hynde, she that an awful lot of boys, Brit boys, drooled over, and a lot of dads as well. She married Colombian artist Luco Brieva. They got divorced 5 years later in 2002. But back in 1975, American singer, this is the dismatch, American singer and actress Cher files for divorce from musician Greg Allman 10 days after they got married. They got reconciled, but they separated in 1977 and got divorced in 1979. Are you thankful Elijah Sky Blue Allman, also known as P. Exeter Blue first? Anyway, I thought it was pretty fun.
You mentioned Scott Iain, right, from Anthrax. He's married.
Mm-hmm.
He's married to a lady called Pearl Aday,
Mm-hmm.
who had a very famous dad
Pearl.
called Marvin.
Oh, yeah.
So Scott's father-in-law, until he sadly passed away, was Meatloaf.
Oh, I'd forgotten all about that. Yes.
Yes, he's married to. Yes, you're right, Tim. Cher did have a fling with Gene Simmons.
Yes, I think she had a fling with almost everybody in it. Anyway.
There's rumours she had one with Richie Sambora, but I don't know how true that is.
You never know. Anyway, so that's the hatches, matches, and dispatches. The sophomore drone. Well, we've been keeping. Ian and I went through the past results. So last week, it was ELO versus Kansas. Oh dear. On the community. What?
Sorry.
Yeah. Hang on. Record hand.
Oh, well done, sir. Good evening.
Oh, thank you, B. That's Molly, and unfortunately she's no longer with us.
Yeah, she's over the Rainbow Bridge and hopefully found Marley.
Yes, I would definitely hope so.
I hope so. They were both the same sort of energetic.
Oh God! Oh,
well,
Molly was very sedate, very, very ladylike. I mean, if she went to the loo, she didn't like you looking. If you looked, she would stop and wait, and then you had to look away, and then she'd move and do her business. But if she caught you looking, she'd stop.
The thing is, because they were the most vulnerable, they always look to reassure, but Rocky just gives you that. What the f are you looking at?
Yeah. Have you never seen it? You ever seen a bear shit in the woods? No. Well, you see the dog shit in the grass. Yeah. Anyway. So last week's sophomore, like I say, it was ELO versus Kansas. Now in the community, which is now called posts for some stupid reason. It was 11 votes to 12. Ooh, that was in favor of Kansas. On the live stream, it was 10 votes to 7 in favor of ELO. Iain he went with Kansas. Unfortunately, ELO win 21 votes to 19. So Iain lost that one. It is now Iain has won 8 and the gallery have won 3. Tonight is Human League versus the Thompson twins. And I need to very quickly go and have a look. There's one, right, there's only been one vote in posts. We know that's for the Human League. So what's
going on in the poll?
Let's have a look.
It's my reputation intact.
I need to refresh the live stream. Oh, there's 10 votes. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Switch. Because if I do it as me, I can't see it. Oh, it's 8-2 to the Human League.
Hey.
So you're safe at the moment because you went with Human League. So.
I did, yes.
You did. Okay, right. Oh, you've put it up. Okay.
Well, we have to do everything. We can't just do prog and rock. That's why I like to mix it up.
Oh, B had a German short-haired pointer. Yes. I find the female dogs, a lot of them become modest. I don't know whether it's owner attitude or what, but anyway. What's on next week?
Yeah, I wonder what it is.
2, 1, bonk. There it goes.
Right, so let's have a look and see what we're going to be diving into next week. So what's happening Monday? Well, we're continuing on with Elvis Costello. We're going to look at his albums from the decade of the 1990s. And then we've got a really interesting perfect side. We've got the Beatles, or as it's affectionately known as, the White Album. I've got 4 sides to pick from this one. Yeah, interesting one. Then we'll go and have a look at Tuesday. A busy old Tuesday. Now we got the oldest person we do for our birthdays, and that's Mary, who's one of Dave's relatives' partners. And we did a US last year. Now we're doing the UK, but there wasn't a top 10, so it's actually sheet music, which is interesting.
Yes, the top 10 hadn't started back then, but there were sales of sheet music, and it's complicated.
Tell me about it. Well, I think we've got it right. Then we're doing an album ranking of a really good band that doesn't get enough love anywhere, and that's the Jesus and the Mary Chain. A good little...
No, play just the Jesus and Mary Chain. Don't call them the Mary. I know somebody who get really annoyed with that.
And then we're doing some bad songs, and this time under the spotlight is Reggie Dwight. I mean, look at it. I mean, what was he thinking? Really?
Hang on, I can't. Oh, that one. Oh, yes. Yes.
Got some bad songs from Elton. Wednesday, we're doing a bit of country all, and a very good country singer called Dwight Yoakam. A request. I've really enjoyed listening to that. So that will be a good one. And then it takes us round to Thursday. Oh, what a sophomore drone next week.
That's all right. Oh, that's right. I've remembered who asked for Dwight. It was Father Stack.
Yes.
He finally got one in. Yeah.
So next week we've got Kinda Kinks by the Kinks and a quick one by the Who.
Oh, that Yes. Stop it, mother.
Yes. And then Picnics, the camera's view, we're doing live years because it's the 40th anniversary on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Who remembers what they were doing on Live Aid Day?
I was working.
I was working. I was working in a home, but luckily we decided to get everybody up in front of the telly for 12 o'clock, and there was a buffet, and we really made a thing of it. To the fact that after we'd finished work at because I was on a late shift, we stayed, and there was about 5 of us and two residents still watching the American version as well. So yeah, it was a good. So I thought I'd go through and have a watch of the Live Aid stuff. And then what's happening Friday? We've got a great day Friday. It's the Still I Span Day. We're going to look at their live albums, and then while I was doing research for the live albums, I discovered that they brought out a new album in May. So I thought, what a good time to do it as a new album review, although it's a couple of months old. But I thought, let's have a Still I Span Day, and I'm looking forward to that. They are one of my favourite bands. And then next Saturday, guess who's going down a big, big rabbit hole?
Can I buy a ticket for that?
Yeah, I've been. Well, Simon said last night, Richard and I want to do, doing a.
Go on. Finish that. Don't look at the chat.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to be picking. Them two are going to pick them, and I'm going down a rabbit hole. Mine's going to be a bit predictable, but I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. I like a challenge, and these two friends of mine have really set me a challenge. And I'm ranking their live albums tomorrow, all 2 of them, but I'm doing that tomorrow.
Right. Terry remembers Live Aid Day, sitting in a broken down car on the A12 with a hysterical wife and 2 young kids.
Oh, nice.
Right, let's take that off and come back to that. Right. The reason I told you not to look.
Yeah, I will. Well done, Gary. Thank you. No, I'll do a review of it at some stage. Don't worry. I've got to listen to it myself first. I'm sure it'll be good anyway.
Yeah, the thing is, we should have saved that for whenever Nick comes up. Is he coming up tonight?
He said he might be a bit late tonight because I think he's had one of them days.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a hot day that day, Terry. I remember that being a very hot day.
It wasn't that bad.
I mean,
it was only 40 degrees where I was.
Yeah, where the home I worked in it's just full of glass, so it looks like a greenhouse. And you're not supposed to wear shorts when you're sort of in care homes, but the boss decided that day because it was Live Day we could wear shorts and t-shirts. I mean, we used to wear jeans and t-shirts, but he said shorts and t-shirts all round.
I mean, given the weather now, I can imagine there would be some places that would be saying, no, you have to wear your uniform, stiff collars and all the rest of it. Yes, it was only 40 degrees Celsius. I was in Islamabad at the time.
Yeah, so I thought I'd just start before everyone comes up. A little discussion, my thoughts on last weekend's to the end in Birmingham.
Yeah. Now you need to explain your medical background.
Okay. One of my jobs many years ago, and it's where I did most of my 25 years. I worked in the caring profession, and towards the end of it, I spent my last 5 years working with the elderly. and working with a lot of people that had got Parkinson's disease. I first worked with people with Parkinson's disease back in 1985. So I've got a little bit of knowledge of Parkinson's disease. So when they announced that Ozzy was doing this, I thought, now this could be interesting because of the stage that his Parkinson's disease at. So I watched the videos that people have been putting up, watching closely to his singing. And then I put the headphones on, sat at my desk, put my headphones on and watched it. And what I heard was not Ozzy singing there. Because trust me, someone with his severity of his Parkinson's disease and the way he was sitting hunched up, he would not be able to sing like that. Regardless of what the fans are saying and what everyone else says, he was not singing. He couldn't. I mean, he was struggling to talk in between. And there's clips of him backstage, and his shaking is quite severe because his knee is all over the place. It was presented with a little box, and he couldn't even open it. So that's how severe it is. I mean, I'm not taking a mickey at Ozzy. I think he's a national treasure. You know, he's done a great job. He's what he did for music, fantastic. But the man is very poorly, and I do wish him the best of health in his retirement. But he was not singing, and I just think, why put him through that? Because he would have been in quite a lot of pain. I think. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that was the biggest con ever. He could not sing. What percentage? Maybe 10%. Yeah, I mean, I saw Iron Maiden the other week, and Bruce was singing. Trust me.
Yes, because you can hear the difference in his voice.
Yeah. Steven Tyler. Now he retired, didn't he? But he sang very well. Now, I mean, I know the week before Neil Young sang at Glastonbury, not very good, but at least he was singing, and you could tell Rod Stewart sang. But Ozzy, that sounded like probably on the first reunion tour back in 2005. He couldn't hit them notes now, bless him. Good evening, Mike. We're talking about Ozzy Osbourne last week and his fake singing.
Yeah, I've read some quite bizarre reviews of that. I think a lot of people are in denial about it because they say, "Oh, this was fantastic. You know, it was really nice. It'll be a memory that I'll hold for the rest of my life, and it was so great to see him, you know, one last time." But as you say, it wasn't really him, was it?
No. Now there's I think it's his right knee. When he was backstage in his wheelchair, it was going like this all the time, which is he's not at the thing. I mean, sadly it will eventually kill him, but he is ill. He is seriously ill with Parkinson's. He should never have been anywhere near that stage, and I do blame Sharon.
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. I think it's a real shame. You know, if they'd done a farewell tour, you know, or you know, a farewell gig maybe 5 years ago, that might have been okay.
They did.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's it. It's a bit like Elton John's constant farewells, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Bill Ward. I mean, he didn't care. He took his top off, and although he wasn't hitting as hard, he was playing. Geezer Butler looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You look at his face. All he was doing was playing the bass, and apparently, Tony Iommi said later, "I didn't know Ozzy could sing."
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's a real shame, isn't it? You know, that had to happen, and
Yeah.
it's not.
Oh, there you go.
It's not the swan song that you really want from such a great band, is it?
And Bill Ward wasn't even wearing a bra. Absolutely. But the thing that gets me, Mike, there was another concert going on in Birmingham that day.
Yeah.
That was a utility, Jeff Lynne. Now, poor old Jeff broke his hand, so he couldn't play a guitar, but he still went out and sang, and apparently he was singing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? You know, what was the set list? Was it ELO? Was it going back
Not
further?
ELO,
Move or
no? It was a lot. It was mostly ELO.
yeah.
Yeah. But Jen's just put that almost Delta abuse. Yeah.
Yeah. With Ozzy, definitely.
Yeah.
ELO's
So that was my
concert is on Sunday.
Yeah.
The last ELO concert.
Yeah. So yeah, that is. I think that's. I think I'm. The thing is, I love Black Sabbath, but I wouldn't want to go and see that debacle, because it was a debacle. I just watched it so I could make a judgment and talk about it tonight. But I'm now sick and death of hearing about it. He's not the.
We had the same sort of thing. We had the same sort of thing with Genesis and Phil Collins.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference between the Black Sabbath thing and Genesis is that Phil wanted to do it.
Yes,
you know, he was part of it, and you just get the feeling that Ozzy wasn't really consulted on this. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's the feeling I get. I could be completely wrong, but it's the feeling I get that he was maybe not a sort of willing participant. He was just, Sharon's puppet, really.
Yeah, but she says she's done now, which I'm glad about.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Geezer Butler, he just looked totally. I mean, I've seen Geezer Butler play the bass, and he really is into it. But he was just. There was no emotion in his face.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's a real shame.
I mean, he played brilliantly. I thought he and Tony played brilliantly. And I thought Bill did a great job. You know, this is a guy that's ill himself.
Yeah.
But I really don't think they wanted to be there. None of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, it's done now.
Anyway, before we go on,
I've got something Terry's right. Genesis had a tax bill to pay.
Right. This was a comment left on the review of Asimov Half Man, Half Biscuit. I haven't put the person's name, but this is their comment. So have a quick read of this, Mike.
Right. Okay. Well, I know lots of Half Man, Half Biscuit fans, and everybody, without exception, the people who've sort of talked about it, people I've talked to about it, everybody, I think everybody agrees that it's up there. It's Half Man, Half Biscuit, and they're on form.
Absolutely. I mean, Nick likes it. I mean, he was playing it. He posted it on his Instagram feed, and this is just a great album. So wherever you are, most of us have been listening to this. If you're watching this, I've been listening to them for a very long time. So has Mike, and so is our good friend Nick, and we think it's good, and we do understand the band.
Yeah,
because
Nick's got a Duck the Prague away show, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. So, yeah, I mean, I found that a little bit insulting to every half man, half biscuit fan.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but there's always one, isn't there? You know, there's always one who wants to sort of be contrary. You know, just for the sake of it. I think.
Yeah. So
that's that's the top and bottom of it. I think, but if you listen to that album, in fact, I showed it today on my latest video, and I said it was crap. No, I didn't. I said it was brilliant. You know, and it is. It's a really good album. It's it's full of those very, very. I say British, but they're more than that. They're sort of they're very English, popular culture sort of references, aren't they?
I mean, I love that line. I borrowed a trestle table off Beth Tweddle. I mean, that's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And the other line, I was working across some Alan Sugars and I saw there was a couple of loose tiles on his roof.
Yeah.
And then Record Stay Day is just a brilliant song.
Yeah. It sums it up, doesn't it? If you want the Clash in Battleship Grey, you better sell the family heirlooms.
That's just a brilliant line, isn't it? It's
But the sort of couplet there where it goes, there's a last album from that man who died. There's an altercation in the crowd outside.
Brilliant. I mean, I wonder who that was actually aimed at. I can think of at least 3 artists.
Well, there's at least one every year, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's at least one every year.
Yeah, and then the opening track.
Oh, yeah. Do you know if that was a single? I think it probably was.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it's a great song.
Yeah. It's a good bit of post-punk, I think, the first one. Yeah.
And I've said this, I think it's their best album since CSI Ambleside.
It's certainly, I mean, it's one of their best of all time, I think.
I was thinking about this. If I was to rank Half Man, Half Biscuit now, that would be in my top 5. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I mean, I'm no good at ranking stuff anyway, and I must say that I don't know all of their albums, but I know most of them, and this one is a good one.
It's up there with Back in the DSSS. It's up there.
Yeah,
I think it's
the very first. Yeah,
that quality and the humour is on there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Michael's coming up tonight because he's hurt his hand. He's very badly, but he had a tumble this week. Poor old Michael.
Oh dear.
So he did send me a message. So if he doesn't come up, that's why. So if you're watching, Michael, get well soon, mate. We will.
Yeah. Oh well, get well soon. It's a shame. Nothing too serious, I hope.
No, it's nothing broken, just very badly bruised.
Right. Yeah.
Terry's come up with a great one about them. You love a band that released an album called Trouble Over Bridgewater.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is it, a lot of thought goes into these jokes, these one-line jokes that sort of suffice as album titles. Yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
The trick is, Richard, once you've done it, you close the book.
Yeah.
And you only go and have a look at it 2 or 3 days before you do the ranking.
Is that how you do it? I don't know.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Because there's times when I'm doing it, I think I've got this in the wrong place, but there's nothing you can do about it. When I put it together, I sometimes, and I'm sort of doing, what I tend to do is listen to a little bit of each track just to refresh my mind as I'm sort of putting my bullet points. And there are times when I've gone, no, I got that wrong, and I will move it. But once I've got it on my little paper bit, on my thing on my computer, that's it. I will not muck about with it anymore.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But I mean, some people take these rankings so personally.
Oh, God.
They say, oh, you've got it all wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And to me, the rankings are, they're a sort of a way of having a bit of a discussion about a band, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That we're never all going to agree. And when we've, the couple of tier rankings I've done now with you, and Richard and Nick, but we don't agree, do we, about everything?
No. I mean, we look what we did for his poor old song that he left us with. We put it at the bottom.
Well, that's right. Well, that's not our fault. That's Nick's fault.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to show you something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just want to show you something. Now, Jumbo Records had a 30% off sale.
Right.
In store only.
This is going big, right?
And I picked up this.
Oh,
It's her it's her demos from sixties, as you can see.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean it's not a full album because it plays at 45.
But it's
And there are a few sort of like talky bits, in the middle there because it's sort of part of the sessions. But it's really nice. It's really nice, and so I got that at 30% off, so I couldn't resist that one.
Oh, God, you couldn't. I mean, that's a lovely picture of her as well, isn't it?
It is, isn't it, with the moon? Yeah.
Lovely picture.
Well, there you go. That's it.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
That's an album artwork that would get a 10 out of 10.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's brilliantly crafted. That.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't really do a ranking of her albums because they're all so good.
Yeah. And that,
I'll
tell you what.
Yeah. I could have a really good argument about Iain's ranking of 1980s Elvis Costello albums.
Yeah. But this is it. It's
To be fair, my choice wasn't too different from yours, Iain. Apart from Get Happy, which I would have put right up there.
Again, it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, my top three would be Spike, Imperial Bedroom, and Get Happy from the 80s.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Oh, is that Andy Gladwin in there?
It is, yes.
The whole KR supporter, yeah. What happened last Sunday, Andy?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm in a combative mood today.
Oh dear.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, we're not going to win this one. We never win at Hull KR, and we pulled out the bag at the last minute there. So that's it. But I don't think it's going to dent your championship hopes, though.
No, I think they just had an off day, and you had an exceptional day.
Well, I mean, Leeds are getting back now. We're starting to put one or two results together. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Yeah. I mean, I think on the day, we were the better team. But I think if we went over to play Hull KR away 10 times, I think we'd be lucky to get away with 8 defeats. Quite honestly, there's something about that ground we can never ever put it together. So I was really surprised, and yeah, happy about that one. Anyway,
have you had a chance to listen to the Steel Eye Span album this week?
I haven't. No, because you mentioned it to me last week when we did that ranking, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I've just not had a chance, but I will do.
Yeah, next Friday, I don't know if you was watching, we've got a Steel Eye Span Day.
Oh, yes, I saw. You're doing the live albums, aren't you?
Live albums. The thing about them live albums, I don't want to give too much away, that they don't just do stuff from their studio albums. do they?
No.
They like doing traditional reels that they do there, or they'll make it up as they go along.
Yeah. I mean, I think their shows have never been sort of the traditional sort of like we're touring this album live show
No.
that you usually get. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I noticed you were doing something else, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. That sounded quite interesting next week.
Jesus and the Mary, yeah, doing them. The White Album, we're going to pick the perfect.
Oh yeah, the White Album. I think that's quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because, as you say, you've got 4 sides to choose from, and there's quite a lot of variation, I think.
Yeah.
Between the sides, there's some really good sides, and there's some filler. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, it won't. I'll tell you what. It won't be side 4.
In fact, that's my best. Yeah, the experimental stuff. Yeah. Number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah, you can just sit there and you can, just hear the, number 9 sort of, pulsing across the speakers from one side to the other. Yeah.
Oh, it's at the moment 9-4 to Human League.
Yeah, I don't even know the Thompson Twins second album. I don't think I've ever listened.
I hadn't listened to it, to be quite honest, and I can understand why I hadn't.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I'm sure I've been quite rude about the Thompson Twins in the past on this stream. I'm sure I have. I must have been, because I actually bought their debut album. I don't think I played it. For about.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they both their next albums from both bands were the ones that sort of put them on the map. But I mean, I think that's the Travelogue's got the best version of Being Boiled. It's better than the single remix. Where they did.
I quite like the sort of the pre-Dare Human League. I think they're pretty good. They're quite experimental. They're quite refreshing to sort of listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's that. Adrian Philip Wright. I think he was the man behind the brain behind the band. I mean, the other two went off and formed Heaven 17 to become more poppy, didn't they?
Well, yeah, the whole sort of BEF thing, wasn't it? Yeah, that they were into. But again, I think the first two, those first 2 albums, Penthouse, Pavement, and what's it called? Tree Gap, isn't it? Yeah, the excellent album.
Yeah, I should do a Human League eventually, but it's just getting round to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we better start.
Pete. Have a nice day.
Yeah, see you later, Jen. Take care. So the topic for this week, as set by Mike, and I got yesterday. Thank you very much for reminding me, Mike.
That's all right.
I'd already sat and gone through 60s, 70s, 80s. Right, music stops there at the 80s.
Well,
yeah, songs defining the 60s. Now, I thought, is there any of the Beatles songs that define the 60s?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Some did, and some didn't.
But then the corollary to the topic was also that it had to trigger a memory.
Yeah. I mean, I weren't born, but I think their early pop songs in 62, 63 were very good because others sort of catched on, like the Hollies and the Searchers, and they all started making these little short 2.5 minute pop songs. I think things like She Loves You, it's a poppy song, but it's quite iconic, I think. Or I Want to Hold Your Hand. But when it comes to the sort of heavy, the rock sort of side, I think you've got to look at songs like You've Really Got Me, All Day and the Night. The Kinks, I think, I mean, everyone says that the Beatles, Helter Skelter was the first heavy rock song. It wasn't.
No.
I mean, the Kinks were doing it in '64. Yeah, I would say that's right. Defines US. But
Yeah.
But some of that early Holly stuff was good as well. And sometimes I think the Holly songs are better structured with the harmonising. Their harmonising is far better. I mean, you've got Graham Nash, you've got Alan Clark and Tony Hicks, who are very good singers in their own right. Put them three together and they've got that lovely tone.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I don't think Lennon and McCartney had.
Yeah. I think there's I was thinking about this particularly last night, and the Beatles didn't feature at all. And I was thinking in terms of different types of music. So when you think about the Kinks, and All Day and All of the Night was one that I immediately thought of. And it's those sort of beat groups, it's the guitar bands, that kind of started 62, 63 sort of time, and it's, very, very much of its day, and it was, bands that were, tuning into some of the sort of blues numbers that they'd heard, and adapting that sort of music to their own purposes, as well as, I mean, obviously playing a lot of covers, but yeah, All Day and All of the Night. And another band that I think, deserve a sort of real mention as being a sort of, particularly, early to mid 60s. I think this was about 1964, and it's the Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And She's Not There.
Mm-hmm.
Great song.
I think it's fantastic. It was written by Rod Argent, vocals by Colin Blunstone. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, not every band took their route like, the Beatles were rock and roll. I mean, Led Zeppelin, the Yardbirds, they took it from the blues side of things, didn't they? And the Animals, another.
Yeah.
I mean, when they brought out House of the Rising Sun, they took a wonderful old sort of gospel song and turned it into a classic pop song. Loving Spoonful, Daydream.
Yeah. These are songs, and I think the comment that Richard just made about if there was no Beatles, there'd be no Hollies, there'd be no Searchers. I don't really subscribe to that. I think I think without a doubt the Beatles were sort of leaders, but if we're talking about songs that sort of, when you look back on them, say, yeah, that was the 60s. I don't think there's very much that the Beatles did that really, to me, sort of really kind of sums up the age somehow. Mm-hmm. And that's why and I mean, there's sort of the kind of swinging London sort of idea as well, and that was very 60s, wasn't it? Carnaby Street and all that, and I think you've got to think about the Kinks, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, but sort of, not just sort of like the early sort of like, rock songs, but, I'm thinking of Waterloo Sunset.
Yeah.
It's a great song about London and about, and it's about, sums up the time, and, that's it. And, that's kind of does it for me. But there's all sorts of different, I was thinking about different genres, and different types of music. Music that was for different purposes, even, you know, that was in the 60s. So you've got, you know, sort of towards the end of the 60s, you've got sort of, you know, psychedelia coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Richard can say, yeah, there'll be no psychedelia without Sergeant Pepper's, but I'll ignore that if you say it, Richard. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's got a point. You know, I mean, Sergeant Pepper's is a great sort of, you know, psychedelic album. But you know, I really, you know, I really love sort of Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I think
And,
you know,
yeah,
Machine. I mean, I know the third come out. I can't remember, but there were some sounds on there that were no other band were doing. But
before I put this next comment up, I'm going to throw one into the mix for you. Where would you put Hank Marvin and the Shadows?
I think that they're kind of they're the link between the 50s and the 60s. Quite honestly,
I think they are.
You know, in many ways, they're a sort of very 50s sort of like rock and roll band, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
But they moved more into the sort of you know, the more, you know.
Yeah, they introduced the 60s in a way.
Yeah.
And opened the door for others who went, oh, I like that. Let's try our version. And then you got the Kinks, the Beatles, everybody else. I think the Shadows sort of they were at the forefront.
Yeah, at the start of the 60s. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But then Terry has this comment, and I think, oh yes, Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. It's one of those records, isn't it?
It is,
and you know, everybody knows it. And again, it's very 60s, isn't it, Terry? You know, it couldn't really have come out of any other decade.
Yeah,
Donovan and the Birds, a huge influence on what would be a huge influence on Psychedelia, Sunshine, Superman, and 8 Miles High.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about, are we, Richard? You know, we're talking about records that sort of defined an era. And you know, I think you can say that, and it's really interesting, isn't it, to sort of trace these things back and to say, yeah, without that, there wouldn't have been this, and that's really good. But just because I wouldn't agree that just because there's a band that preceded this particular band, you know, it doesn't mean that the previous band is the one that typifies the decade. Yeah.
I think there's also the other sort of about different genres. You've got the female singers, your Helen Shapiro's, your Dusty Springfields, your Petula Clarks. They had that sort of big sound with the orchestra, and Sandy Shaw, and then we can talk about, you know, Jane Birkin. You know that.
Well, I was going to talk about that because, you know, it's another type of music, isn't it? It's the, you know, the girl singers that came to the fore in the 60s.
Can they hold that for a moment?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Richard's asking, would you guys say UK 60s versus US 60s music in terms of memories of an era are rather different? The Beatles as a common ground.
Yeah.
I think it's bound to be. And there's quite a lot of American stuff that I want to talk about. But I think, Richard, you'll probably think, yeah, you're talking about it from a sort of British perspective. And it'll be interesting to know how that sort of then, you know, how that translates, you know, across the Atlantic.
Anyway,
I mean, while I've got this thought about the sort of like, you know, girl singers, But again, I mean, Dusty Springfield, she was big in the 50s, wasn't she? And again, she provides that kind of link. But I think, as you say, there's that sort of that kind of singer who was sort of very good at, and it was ideal for sort of Saturday night variety, wasn't it? And orchestrated tracks.
Yeah, that and the smoking nightclub cabaret type singer.
Yeah, that's right. And then you've got somebody, say, like Lulu and Shout, which is 1963. Completely different. It's out and out sort of pop song, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, that is definitely, that is most definitely a sort of 60s thing, something that sort of.
It was all boy bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talking about American music, I mean, you got the San Francisco scene, Jefferson, which were.
As you say that, Ian.
Yeah. Richard's right. Jefferson Airplane, and then you got the Doors as well, doing something totally different.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. But again, Hendrix had to come to London, didn't he, to make it? But yeah, talking about protest songs, I mean, that is something, and the kind of the whole sort of Woodstock thing, and Vietnam, and I was gonna mention a couple of songs, and the first one is Buffalo Springfield, For What It's Worth.
Oh, great song.
Which is I mean, right from the start, the intro is just fantastic. And, Stephen Stills wrote it about a nightclub that was closed down in West Hollywood. But it very quickly became the sort of focus of sort of, protest movements. It became a sort of anti-Vietnam War song. And, there's so much of that, and then you've got the Rolling Stones, and Gimme Shelter. Again, Sympathy for the Devil. Again, these songs are the sort of kind of Woodstock era, aren't they? And they're very much sort of to do with protest. But again, I think that looking at or trying to remember about sort of 60s British music, that there wasn't a lot of protests going on. Whereas, particularly, from the, 67 onwards in the United States, there was quite a lot of stuff that was, very much geared up towards, Vietnam. And you can sort of understand that because, there were, teenagers who were absolutely, terrified of the draft, so, you can understand how the movement would sort of would take hold in the States. But yeah, I mean, lots of protest songs.
Yeah, I think another American song that really defines that period, late mid-60s, and that again we've mentioned the band, the Loving Spoonful, Summer in the City. I think that's a terrific tune. And when I hear that, I think of the 60s. The Guess Who, American Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And one of my all-time favourite pop songs, that written by John and Michelle Phillips, of course, it's California Dreaming.
Oh,
and that kind of sums up the 60s for me.
That's a lovely song, isn't it?
It's an absolutely beautiful song, isn't it? But they really capture the mood. They're holed up in New York in the winter in some dreary hotel, and quite understandably, they wish they were back in California. Yeah, like a Rolling Stone, another.
And then the best idea for the anti-war protest.
Yeah. I would
I'd agree with
I
that.
agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, that's a great slogan. Yeah.
No, I just think there's this. I mean, you put on, when you watch a Vietnam War film, you get all them songs, all along the Watchtower, Summer in the City, White Air, White Air, Rabbit. They're all in there, aren't they?
Yeah. White Rabbit's an interesting one, isn't it? Because very much a sort of, hi mate.
And then you got Janis Joplin.
Mm-hmm.
It was just started in the late 60s, wasn't she?
Yeah. But I was reading about White Rabbit. What is it about? What is it about? And and I think you've got to say it's one of the great sort of drug songs that kind of slipped through the net, really, of the establishment. But I think Grace Slick said that the thing about White Rabbit is, she said, well, it's no wonder that all your kids are on drugs if you read them stories like Alice in Wonderland. So that's that. But again, it's great, and we've not mentioned the Beach Boys, have we?
No, not yet. Oh, Creedence Clearwater. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know a lot of Creedence Clearwater songs. There's Bad Moon Rising, obviously, isn't there?
Oh, Born on the Bayou.
Oh, that's it. Born on the Bayou. Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah.
Cool.
Fortunate Son.
Oh, that's. Well, I'm not going to throw too much into that because. Sorry, I've had an explosion when we can of beer.
Oh dear.
Well prepared, though. There we go. Yeah, Fortunate Son is a great tune.
Yeah.
You see,
Anyway, how are you, Nick? How you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how long I'm going to last. Been a shit day, and this weather's not doing me any good. It's making me feel fucking ill.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's
I've got the fan on across the other side of the room, blowing at me.
Yeah. Well, when I was thinking about this subject, Nick, I was thinking about the 60s and ska. Because that was something that really kind of exploded in the UK, didn't it, a little bit?
Yeah. If I'm thinking about the 60s, it's the era of the youth movement. You got your Teds and your rockers, especially over here.
Yeah.
Then you got your mods, and then towards the end of the 60s, skinheads.
Yeah. I mean that's right. And and that's another thing, isn't it? Youth culture. I suppose it kind of started in the 50s, didn't it? Really. With the Teds, but as you say, it really got going in the 60s, and the modern. I can remember when I was a kid. Probably about sort of 7 or 8 years old, and the media was full of the sort of horror stories about the mods and the rockers terrorising all the decent people down in Brighton.
Well, you mentioned a key word there, media.
Yeah, because it's a lie, isn't it?
Well, it is. That they love a damn good sort of moral outrage.
Yeah.
And of course, you had that with the mods and the rockers having a punch up and your teddy boys. When skinheads came along.
Yeah. But that's it, isn't it? The whole skinhead thing was around sort of soul music. It was around ska, wasn't it? It wasn't sort of this sort of racist movement, but some people want
No,
to
no.
try it as working class youth, basically, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, working class youth.
Yeah, there was
Not
a band called, Ambrose Slade, wasn't there, in 1969?
Yeah,
Of course, they were also known as the In-Betweens as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing that people more associate skinheads with the 70s, don't they? But Nick's absolutely right that they came around at the end of the 60s. But I mean, I don't know what I'd have done if I was them, because I liked the mod bands and I liked the rocker bands of the time. You know? I mean, I love the Who and I love the Kinks. I love the Stones.
Yeah. Do you know what I think happens? When you're a kid, you're at school with all your mates, and it's almost like a sort of a group decision, isn't it? About who you're going to go with. You can't really put your finger on it. Sort of like why do we all like this type of music and don't like that sort of music? It kind of happens. So it's kind of like all your mates are into this stuff and you're into it as well. And it's almost as though you don't really get a choice. I mean, you do get a choice, obviously, but it kind of, looking back on it, it kind of feels like that. It just kind of happens. That you like that. You like watching another.
Yeah, when we another day, when we do the 80s, you'll find what the quandary I was in the 1980s.
Yeah.
But it's the same sort of thing as here. I mean, if I'd have been around then, I would have definitely been into the Trogs, the Kinks, the Animals, but also like the Hollies, and I'd have been into the Beach Boys and a little bit of the Beatles. Because at the end of the day, as much as some people go mad, I said they were just a pop band. That's all they were, a pop band, and a very successful pop band.
Yeah. But Richard has just made a really good point about how bands started writing their own songs.
Yeah.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because then you get sort of you get the voice of youth, really. If that doesn't sound too cool, people can start sort of writing songs that sort of reflect their lives rather than singing a standard pop song written by probably a committee of old men somewhere, or
they stepped away from Tin Pan Alley.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, I think one of the first songwriters to really write about growing up and being was Bob Dylan. What he, going to New York, with his guitar. I mean, just dropped off in the middle in New York and trying to make his way. I mean, the songs he got out of that, it's just incredible what he did.
Well, yeah, and he came to the UK, and he mixed with all the 60s folk revival people, and there's an awful lot. Awful lot of sort of Dylan stuff is, down to these old sort of folkies from the early 1960s.
Yeah, it's just because that's where Steel Eye Span and Fairport Convention they sort of started, getting together in the late 60s. Before 66, 67, they were thinking about it, talking about it, practicing, writing. Before they even, it's all about, that's when it really starts, isn't it? When you sit down with a group of people and say, we're going to form a band. And, they started, the songwriting about sitting down writing songs together. That's what it was all about. I mean, the Hollies, their first two albums, 63, 64, a lot of covers. But all of a sudden, they started. Graham Nash started writing his own stuff with Tony Hicks, and then they developed. The Animals did Procol Harum and the Moody Blues. I mean, we haven't mentioned A Night White a Shade of Pale or Nights in White Satin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The great iconic British songs of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Now, Procol Harum. Yeah.
Weren't they American?
No.
Oh, good Lord, no.
No. I always thought they were.
Oh.
Do you know that was the #1 hit single here in Britain on the day I was born?
It certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it really White a Shade of Pale?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
on his
wow, that's a good one.
and then on his 5th birthday, he had Slade.
Oh yes, I know. I noticed, but there was some crappy #1 though, wasn't there, that kind of spoiled your top 10.
He had Puppy Love about number 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But the rest of it was pretty good. But yeah, A Whiter Shade of Pale. It's a song that I can remember from the sort of some of the first sort of discos that I used to go to, and it is a song that would be played, right near the end when you'd finally sort of like, pluck up the courage to sort of grab that girl that you've been eyeing up all evening. And that's what I remember about that song.
Yeah, he had Nancy walking all over me today.
Hey, that's another great one, isn't it? I think that's an iconic 60s tune, isn't it?
I've got a copy of it as well. And
Was that written by Lee Hazelwood? It was, wasn't it? These boots were made for walking.
Right.
I think it was. Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I'll throw something else into the mix. Simon and Garfunkel. They started early 60s. And Paul Simon came over and was going around busking almost, and then joined up with Art, and music was reinvented again. You had another form of music coming out, another style, but going all the way through to 69. One song that triggered a memory for me. Now, whenever this idea came up last week, I mentioned Napoleon the 14th. They're coming to take me away, because it reminded me of being in Cyprus. Before we went to Cyprus in 69. Before we went to Cyprus, we had spent 63 to 66 in Aden, where my sister was born. Back to the UK, into school for 2.5 years, and then away again in 69. I missed an awful lot of music because you were listening to British Forces radio, or you were outside playing with your friends. Didn't listen much to radio. I was outside playing with friends. One song that I can say defines the late 60s for me, it's actually 2 songs, but they're linked by a common theme. 69, Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong setting foot on the moon. After that, 2 songs came out. Space Oddity by David Bowie.
Yeah.
And the wonderful Zager and Evans in the year 2525.
Yeah, crikey, yeah.
Looking forward to the future.
That's a song. I listened to that last night. And it's such sort of dippy hippie sort of stuff, isn't it?
It is.
But I was thinking of another song, and I'm sure you know it from the lyrics. And it's in the same sort of vein as 25, really. But it starts off, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Yes.
Yeah. Then peace will rule the planets, and what is it? Love will rule the stars, or love will guide the stars. I think it is. Yeah.
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 Brilliant.
That's the 5th dimension. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's that Aquarius one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was released as a sort of like two songs together because there's Let the Sun Shine In,
Mhm.
sort of like kind of segues onto it, and
Yeah.
they were tracks from the musical Hair, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But
And there's something that defined
yeah,
the new age of stage work, because they were stepping away from was it the Lord Chancellor's office?
yeah,
That he had the final say on all theatre scripts,
yeah,
and he could, no, you're not having that, you're not having that, you're not having that. You know, they could destroy a piece of theatre work, and out came this explosion onto the stage. Oh God, yes, Terry, Bonzo Dog Doodah Band.
yeah. We can't forget Bonzo. And,
No chance. You see,
I've mentioned this before. Yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, there's one record we haven't spoken of, and you're sitting in where we used to sit.
Oh, yes, Fire.
Fire, Crazy One,
Yes.
another iconic song.
Yeah. Again, very sort of like, you know, very much in the sort of hippie vein, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But at the sort of completely mad end.
Yeah, or the Nice and their version of America. You know, that.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah, that's good stuff. But we were talking about Simon and Garfunkel, and then we got off the subject. I think there's so much, and you know, I mean, Richard said in the comments, you know, Sound of Silence sort of like defines the late 60s for him. And yeah, it was one of those songs that it was sort of everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
I really like the Homeward Bound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which was written at Widnes railway station of all places.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was stuck there. I think he'd missed the last train, you know, and he was stuck at Widnes railway stations. And I don't think there are many worse places to be stuck than Widnes.
Oh yeah, I've been to Witness, and it is a dump.
It's a chemical factory, basically, isn't it? Yeah.
Evening, Romuald, or good afternoon.
Yeah. Oh.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this, before it finishes, we each pick the one song that we think defines the 60s.
Yeah. That's going to be difficult. Yeah.
Well, it's not for me. I've already picked one.
Yeah, I think
based on something I've sort of slightly touched upon.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul Sar's come up with another one we haven't touched on yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've not mentioned Motown at all, have we?
I mean, Motown to me. I mean, if anyone says to you, "I don't like Motown," they're lying. Everyone likes Motown.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I mean, the Supremes were just. It's when
great.
you hear "Baby, Where Did Our Love Go?" It automatically gives you that vibe of the '60s. "Stop in the Name of Love." Yeah, another song that just encapsulates America in the '60s. Great songs.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got, you know, Jackson 5.
Jackson 5, yeah.
You know,
I mean, Stevie Wonder was making records in the '60s.
yeah, not great ones though, was he really?
No, little Stevie Wonder.
I think Stevie Wonder had his heyday in the '70s. So that maybe we'll talk about him then.
Going back to Simon and Garfunkel, I love Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Graduate film. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mrs. Robinson, it's just got that certain vibe about it. It's
Yeah. There's that scene in the church that everybody remembers, isn't there? In that film. And there's
You
another
got
scene
that, Ian?
remembers as well. Yeah.
hey, it's all right. I'll tell you what, Dave. For someone that doesn't look their ages, do they?
Nope. Sorry, it's my cousin. My sister Mary is over seeing our American cousins who are visiting briefly from America. It's Mary, whose birthday is next week. And tonight they're at a Queen tribute concert at Epsom. And they've just sent me a photo of Jean and Mary with the stage and screen in the background. Absolutely lovely photo. Anyway.
Sorry about that.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, Terry's just gonna, Terry's coming up with some caucus tonight. Joe
Yes.
version with the little help of my friends.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But this is there was so much going on in the 60s. How can you pick one song to define a whole decade?
Well, we're going to have to.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult, isn't it? But yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? Yeah. I'm thinking with the soul stuff, the Tracks of My Tears. Absolutely brilliant song. What was that about? Mid-60s sometime, was it? Was it 64, 65?
Smokey Robinson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Smokey and the Miracles.
Yeah.
One of
1965.
one of my favourite songs from Jimmy Ruffin, What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. Absolute belter. Which was covered in the 80s. I think, is it by Colin Blunston? He did a version of it in the.
Did he? All right.
Bit like Leslie Gore's "It's My Party." That. Well, I think that's 50s, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And then there's that really weird Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin sort of version, isn't there?
I put Acker Bilk and Selena Scott.
Oh God, yeah.
But there's an act that we haven't mentioned that was going very big in the 60s, and that was Acker Bilk.
Yeah, Strangers in the Shores at #1 forever, weren't it?
Yeah.
I know. I always remember sort of Acker Bilk as sort of like an artist that my parents liked. And that was enough for me, sort of like I need to steer clear,
Kenny Ball and his Jazzmen.
Yeah, whenever my grandparents lived down in Dublin,
we're getting silly now. Yeah.
5 to 6 on an evening before the news, you'd get this little short interlude, and it was always Acker Bilk, Stranger on the Shore, while they sort of set up the news program at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, well, it's it's nice, nice and relaxing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, Kenny Ball's Jazzman sort of pepped it up a bit. Acker Bilk slowed you down, and then Kenny Ball came along and woke you up.
Yeah. Go back to, Jethro Tull started, 68?
Probably about that, yeah.
Yeah, with their bluesy jazz stuff.
Yeah. But then again, there's a sort of, the early sort of Canterbury stuff, Soft Machine is all sort of that era. The Robert Wyatt sort of era, Soft Machine.
67 for Tull.
Yeah.
And then you got the early Deep Purple, with like their version of Hush, and in songs like Emiretta, with the Mark I lineup, the Poppy lineup.
Yeah.
They did better in America. They were one of them bands who were doing better in America.
Yeah.
Than in their own country.
Yeah. I bought a copy of Fireball with my pocket money way back, and what's that, about 69, is it?
71, the wrong decade.
Is that 71? Oh, well, there you go. We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah. I mean, Led Zeppelin, we haven't mentioned Led Zeppelin. Whole Lot of Love, again.
Yeah. You know,
One of
them first two albums,
Yeah,
they took this world by storm, didn't they? You know, Led Zeppelin 2. I mean, Dazed and Confused. I mean, I know it's an old blues song, but they took it and just turned it into this epic.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, another band we haven't mentioned, Cream.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sunshine of Your Love.
Brilliant song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White Room.
Yeah, White Room, yeah.
And how many
The
artists
whole,
came out
the
of
whole of Disraeli Gears. I mean, it's just superb. Even Mother's Lament at the very end, I've got a real soft spot for.
that? I mean, Richard's right there, where he says the major glam artists of the 70s all came out of the 60s.
Yeah.
They did.
It's funny, isn't it, Richard? Because we've talked about Mott the Hoople quite a lot, over the last few months, and there's that big difference, isn't there, between the early sort of more sort of conventional sort of bluesy rock sort of Mott the Hoople of the early days, and and they're nowhere near glam, are they, at that time?
No.
Yeah.
In a way, they were. I mean, one of the best artists who I think you could say defines almost every era because he changed with the times and defined the times is David Bowie.
Yeah.
He always came out with something fresh each decade, a new vision, a new way of seeing things, singing things, playing things.
Yeah. And I mean, David Bowie, late 60s, early 70s, is just unrecognizable as David Bowie if you're thinking about maybe 1990s Bowie.
Oh, even
completely
Bowie
different.
in the late 70s is different from Bowie in the 60s.
Yeah.
He's already changed. And then into the 80s, he changed again and again. And he changed every decade, sometimes twice in a decade.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, not always very successfully, I think. But
True. But he was out
he
there.
was always different.
Yeah.
He's a master of reinvention, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we
Especially after Laughing Gnome.
Oh God, yeah.
He changed from his debut albums got some really weird stuff on, and then he does the second album, which has got some classics on. I mean, another band that you go in the bluesy way. What about Free? I mean, in 1969 they released their debut album, Tons of Sobs, and Free. Some great tracks on there.
Yeah.
The Hunter, that's on the Tons of Sobs, which is an excellent track. Bluesy, in the same vein as Led Zeppelin. So, I think music was taken different.
Right. Hang on. Right. Okay. Cream didn't have. They did.
Oh wow!
I remember. I remember that. Yes.
Oh God, I've not heard that.
Yeah.
I bet that was great.
I'm going to mention them, but Status Quo, their debut album, is a great psychedelic album.
Hot psych, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the reason Mott the Hoople changed. Mick Mott discovered money. But Richard, hands up. Well done.
Yeah.
You saying about
this is so wide. Terry's got another one. Cat Stevens.
Yeah. again, another another singer that sort of changed, over the years, But yeah, Cat Stevens. So when was Moonlight Shadow? Was that must have been 60s, wasn't
Let's have a look here.
I think another person. I mean, I'm a big fan of this guy, but that's Joe Meek. He changed the sound of pop.
Let's see.
You know,
Matthew and Son was 67. New Masters 67, and then nothing until the 70s.
Oh right, so it's Matthew and Son, isn't it? Yeah. I remember that. I remember that single. Yeah.
I mean, the Scott McKenzie, San Francisco, is that 60s? Was that 70s?
60s, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it's.
Yeah, sounds. I think it is, but
And we haven't mentioned Je t'aime.
what?
Jane Birkin.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's a whole sort of yay thing, which interests me immensely. And Romuald, if you're still watching, I apologise for massacring your language, but one of my favourite Yeye songs, and it's very sort of very sort of rocky, written by Serge Gainsbourg, of course, was France Gauls, Laissez tomber les filles, which is something like "Don't mess with the girls" or something like that. But it's a great bit of sort of pop music.
I mean, there was a surprising amount of stuff coming out of France, but it was only the youth culture, the coffee shop culture that sort of caught on.
Yeah.
It bypassed an awful lot of sort of mainstream. Those who were listening to, the likes of Slade and all that, they missed the French.
Yeah. One of my, a really sort of favourite French film of mine is.
There you go. There you go. Laissez tomber les filles.
Yeah.
Sorry, les filles.
Yeah. And it's a fantastic bit of sort of and of course this was all part of the sort of French sort of singers sort of taking the sort of very much the sort of British American sort of pop sort of route, rather than what was maybe going on in France in general, I think. But yeah. Oh yeah. I was reading today. It mentioned Jane Birkin, and this just shows you how mad the world is. There's a type of handbag that was named after Jane Birkin because she got the first one, and her handbag was sold by Sotheby's in Paris today, and it went for over £7 million.
Yep.
Like 8-point-something million euros. For a tatty old handbag that Jane Birkin owned. I mean, what is wrong with the world? You'll have to explain that to me one day. I'm very interested.
I've got 3 versions of that Je t'aime.
Oh yeah.
I've got the obvious one.
Yeah.
I've got a version by Judge Dredd.
I bet that's great.
And I've also got a version on single by Frankie Howard and June Whitfield.
Yes,
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing that you could touch on. There was a lot of comedy type, popular comedy songs in the 60s, wasn't it? Bernard Cribbins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right said Fred. Hole in the
I've got
Ground.
that.
Hole in the Ground is fantastic. They had
Yeah.
little cartoon films to go with them, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, brilliant stuff.
I've
Mellow,
got
yeah.
a Bernard Bresslaw one.
Oh my God,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
forgotten he did one. Yes.
Yeah. The Goons as well. He had a lot of the radio programs
Yes.
from that
Oh,
era.
that you've taken me back to Cyprus again.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
After Sunday Mass, Mum and Dad would be in the church hall doing teas and sandwiches and whatnot. Dad can have the car keys. Out into the car, turn on the radio, listen to the Goon Show because it came on at 12 o'clock. That made my day. I love the Goons.
Yeah, I was just thinking of other sort of novelty records. I mean, there was Peter Sellers and that boom diddy boom boody boom.
Yeah.
Oh, Sophia Loren.
Sophie Loren, brilliant.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious me.
Yeah, goodness gracious me, brilliant. You know, these were popular in the 60s as well.
Do you know what? I've got a copy of that that I picked up only about 2 or 3 months ago. It was in charity shop, for 10p, and I thought, yeah, I'm having that.
I think I've got one as well. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Didn't Benny Hill, Ernie come out in the late 60s, or was that in the 70s?
But the Harvester of Sorrow, I think that was 69.
Ernie was 71.
All right. Okay. And there was what's the name out of EastEnders? Wendy Richards, wasn't there?
Come outside.
Yeah, Come Outside. Yeah, was that with
Mike Shan?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kinky Boots. That was what's his name, wasn't it? John Steed. Patrick McGee.
Yeah.
And Honor Blackman, wasn't it? Yeah.
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 Simon, we've already done Ackerbilk.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah.
But
there you go. Sure, yeah.
You should have been in earlier. Should have been in earlier, Simon.
And then, of course, Ken Dodd and the Diddy Men. That came out.
God, yes.
Well, that 60s as well. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember watching that. It used to be on the telly, didn't it? Either Saturday or Sunday sort of afternoon.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was only, when that was on telly, I would have been about 2, 3. But apparently I loved it. And that's why I had the album.
Yeah. I could understand.
Yeah, because at that age, it would have been the wee puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to like to dance.
Pinky and Perky. Do you remember Pinky and Perky?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
do.
God, yes.
Yeah, I love them apparently. No, you haven't got a Pinky and Perky record, have you?
No.
Yeah, I used to like them as well, apparently.
Andy Pandy and Loopy Loo.
Oh God, yeah, that's a great stuff, isn't it?
And of course the immortal Bill and Ben, the Flower Pump Men.
Yeah.
Flubber.
Yeah.
I think Pinky and Perky were done by I think they were a Czechoslovakian couple. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, there's another iconic artist of the 60s, Herb Albert.
Oh yeah, and his Tijuana brass.
Yeah, Spanish Flea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think this is a golden age to be a Herb Alpert fan or a James Last fan, because you can pick up tons of their records in charity shops, can't you?
That's all you can. And Burt Bacharach.
Dad had a 10-album box set of all three. Each one a 10-album box set. There were 30 albums sitting there. You can imagine what dinner parties were like.
I mean, Burt Bacharach. They wrote him and how. What's it? This guy's in love with you.
Mm. They were a music factory.
Yeah.
Almost everything they churned out was a hit.
So are we going to choose a record then that defines
defines
it for you?
Oh yeah. Ah.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, you go
all
first.
right.
Well, I think that the 60s is the the era of the youth movements where they escaped the shackles of the 50s, in the image of their mums and dads. And I think one of the greatest youth movement songs of all time is My Generation by The Who.
Yeah, fantastic choice. Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be my pick.
Right.
All right, so go on, Simon.
I think I've got a rough idea. See if I'm. Is it coming up? I don't know. Anyway, while Simon thing, I've chosen mine. It's off this album. Night in White Satin. It just, to me, just sort of started prog. Don't care what anyone says. This was the start of the prog sound. There was so much going on this, and the whole album's just wonderful. But A Night in White Satin is just epic for me, and it sort of one of the songs like that. I wouldn't have gone down certain roads.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got to choose. I think I'm going to go down the Kinks way, and I'm going to say Waterloo Sunset.
Oh, right. That means I've got to go to my second choice.
All right.
I'm going to go to the end of the 60s. Space Oddity. Because we've had all the 60s, everything, the whole mishmash, and we're looking forward to humanity moving forward into the next decade and out into space and beyond, and wonderful madcap dreams. So for me, Space Oddity.
Yeah. Right. Has anybody else come up with something?
I don't know what the 60s is, but there's a wonderful smell of the 60s just come outside my bedroom window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry. Yeah.
Right. Richard's sticking with the sound of silence.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant.
Hang on, let's bring him up.
There he is.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing then?
All right.
I didn't see the first half of the show. I was busy at my kid's school. He's had an award ceremony.
How you doing?
He's won an award, so
That's excellent.
Oh right.
yes.
So what's your song that defines the 60s for you then, mate?
Well, I didn't go necessarily with a song. I went with an album.
Okay.
All right, show the album.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go Beatles or Beach Boys because I've shown those records so many times and spoke about them and championed them. So I want to go with something which is a little bit gone under the radar a little bit, and that's Louis Armstrong's album "What a Wonderful World."
Ooh.
This outsold the Beatles for a brief moment in time. Not quite sure when, but it did. And it is a terrific album from the start to the end.
Yeah.
It's an excellent album. So if you can pick this one up, and it's normally around in charity shops, it's pretty cheap. If you can find a mono one, even better. But
Yeah.
stereo would do nicely.
Yeah,
It's definitely.
What a wonderful world.
I've got the single.
Some of the Vietnam films, that's always on a Vietnam soundtrack.
The deep cuts on it are superb. Cabaret, The Home Fire, Dream a Little Dream of Me, Give Me Your Kisses, The Sunshine of Love. These are superb songs. I mean, really good.
All right.
Side 2, Hello Brother. That is an excellent song. Hello Brother. It's melancholy. It's emotional. And his voice is just he's peak on this album. This is his best album, and I think this album doesn't really get enough love. Too much with you.
Yeah. But
Home Fire. Hello
He's one of
Brother.
the all-time greats, though, Simon. Any era, he's up there, isn't he?
Yeah. But it's incidentally, it's the sort of the thing which was happening is you're getting these artists who were peaking sort of later on in their career. I mean, much later, sort of in their sort of 50s and 60s. Same with Sinatra. It was the same with Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
He recorded
Hello
that.
Brother. I've said.
Yeah, he
Go on.
recorded the song for Her Majesty's Secret Service, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he had that fabulous performance.
Yes.
And then he died very, very shortly out. What a way to go out. We've got all the time in the world.
That song would have fitted perfectly on this album. Sadly, didn't make it.
Yeah.
But it would have been superb with that song as well. There Must Be a Way. That's a lovely song. Fantastic. That's You. A lovely song. And then there's two sort of more sort of fun kind of tracks. I guess I'll get the papers and go home. And Hello Zappa Pop In is just a bit of fun, but terrific album. Seriously, really, really good. Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world.
Yeah, not to be too morbid. That's what I want played at my funeral. What a wonderful world.
Yeah. There's a really, really good version of that song by an Austrian artist, and she calls herself Soap and Skin for whatever reason. And she does a version of What a Wonderful World, and it is absolutely superb.
No, I think that was a great choice, Simon. It just sums up everything, doesn't it? Everything about the 60s.
It does, yeah. It's quite a mixed, varied decade, really, wasn't it? It's a lot going on. Sort of similar to maybe the 80s, which had a lot of different genres at the same time.
I think that's right. If you look at sort of like how the 60s started and how it ended, it's completely different, isn't it?
Very, very different. I mean, it sort of started as if the 50s were continuing into the 60s.
Yeah.
We had a lot of sort of solo singers. So about 60 to 62, it was very kind of almost like granny music in a way. A lot of big solo names with solo careers. And then 62, 63, the whole scene changed into this scene of bands with the Beatles and so forth. Completely, like a massive change.
Yeah. It's a really interesting decade, isn't it?
And then when we got towards 68, 69, it changed again, didn't it?
Yeah, like a psychedelic music sort of towards
Beginnings of prog as well.
Yeah, and Born to Be Wild, Steppenwolf. Again, that was a song that changed the.
I'd say it's one of those decades which just had the most drastic changes, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Steppenwolf.
The first time the word
to be wild
was ever used in a song. Heavy Metal Thunder.
Oh, right.
Yeah, a lot of good rock music in the 60s, the later half, wasn't there? I mean, 67 was a fantastic year as well. Like the Kinks and what have you.
Yeah. I mean, the music, rock music, was taking different Well, he was getting the out and out heavy, which became like the Deep Purples and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, of course. Some of it went down the more sophisticated, your soft machines, your Pink Floyds, and they took it the other way. Yes, was starting to come in as well. Jethro Tull, the folks, folk music was starting to evolve as well. So, as Simon says, it went from your mum's favourite music of 1960, and by the end of the decade, it was this total different music scene with different
Completely.
genres.
Yeah, yeah,
It set up the following decade, didn't it, for things to come?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It did.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if you think about the whole sort of pop psych thing, it kind of came and went in about 3 years, didn't it? And it just evolved into something different.
Yeah, that's why Status Quo changed. They had was having success with the debut album. The second album, by the time they brought out their second album, no one was listening to it. And they decided, we've got to change. And that's when they brought Mark Kelly's out in 70. It was a rock album, and the rest is history. But, you think, like just showed the Moody Blues. They sort of took prog in a different direction. The Soft Machine was going, and yes, they took it in. Days of Future Party is more orchestral sort of prog, and then that eventually came into what they call, the metal, symphonic metal. It changes as time goes on, but it all stems back to that 60s.
When they talk about the Beatles in the 60s, when they talk about the Beatles, they say they're a pop group, don't they? They don't say they're a rock group. They're a rock and roll group. They are considered pop. It's only when they start to evolve, and years later, people refer to them as a rock and roll band. But really, they are pop.
But when when they were performing live, the early part of their career, they were definitely, as you say, they were a pop band. They were, there was a teen hysteria associated with them. And I think they kind of summed that up really well in the film Hard Day's Night, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's what that's about, isn't it? It's about the pressures of touring when you've got to sort of, try and sneak out the stage door without the screaming girls getting you first.
It's no flame, though, is it?
No.
No, I mean, I think
they have fun with it in the movie, don't they? But like in the reality it must be a nightmare, not to be able to go anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, they had a stampede of girls completely crushed cars.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Having like a taxi outside or a limousine waiting outside for you to go into, and a stampede of people trounce all over the car and cave the roof in. Scary, isn't it? Really, when you think about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you're watching, Michael, it's a shame that you're not up here tonight.
Yes.
We'll send you our best. I don't know if you heard. Poor old Michael had a bit of a tumble this week and has hurt his hand, badly bruised it, no broken bones, so he's not in good shape. But yeah, so I'm sure he's watching. I'm sure he's watching, or he'll watch it later. So
yeah.
Well, if he's wise, he's watching later.
Yeah.
Not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speedy recovery, then, Michael.
Yes, we've been missed. Anyway, it's been a great conversation tonight, and thank you for everyone joining in. In a few weeks' time, we'll be doing. We'll pull apart the 70s, I think.
All right.
Because some of us were actually around then.
It's a bit easier, isn't it?
But
not too much.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this because there's so many bands we've covered, and I think Simon coming in late, but he's actually said at the start of the, as we said, the start of the decade, it was quite twee, and then by the end of the decade, it had gone off into different factions and
very
set up for what we, as we were growing up, what we started listening to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in a way, whenever you do it does Mary's birthday next Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's 1950, and there wasn't a top 10 as such per se. It's sheet music sales.
Wow.
So everybody would buy sheet music, go home and play it on the piano and sing along. It's going to be interesting to look and hear what was being sung, played back then, and then you think about what we discussed tonight, the 60s, and the change in music. It's a step change.
Just to sort of go what you were saying in about the change, when you look at Adam Faith's career, sort of in the late 50s to early 60s, he is just Adam Faith. 63, he's Adam Faith and the Roulettes. He had to change the times. He was changing to like a, to compete with the Beatles, like a lot of them. We're now becoming bands. Certain big names. With certain bands.
Yeah, he became an actor in the end, Adam Faith.
Yeah, Adam Faith. I mean, I call it plinky plonky music because that's what do you want? That's all plinky plonky.
Very simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that it was enjoyable. I think at the time.
I'll give you one other artist to go with that. Tommy Steele.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still White Bull.
He started poppy in the late 50s, and then in the 60s he switched to being an all-round entertainer, and as you say, Little White Bull and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Joe Brown, isn't it? He was.
This discussion could go for another hour.
I know.
Good. Yeah. A lot of big American influences as well. Bobby V, Bobby Vinton.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly still had a huge following, even in the 60s.
He did.
Yeah.
And then you get Iain and Green, as I call them, the poor man's Beach Boys, who covered Beach Boys. They were awful.
Don't really know them.
Oh, they're an American. They do a dreadful version of the little old girl from Pasadena, the little old lady from Pasadena.
Shannon Dean.
Yeah.
You've heard of her.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, I do know. Yeah.
Awful. And they made money off.
Yeah, but they also did.
Quite like it. Like it. Yeah.
Any relation to Pearl and Dean?
Yeah.
Linda is a good song of theirs.
All right.
Remember Linda?
Yeah, it's not too bad, but they weren't ripping off the Beach Boys then.
I think they were under the same management. They weren't. They didn't Murray take them on, the Beach Boys' father?
Yeah. But But about ripping off sort of like other artists. I mean, Manfred Mann weren't above being a covers band for quite a while, weren't they? They did a lot of Dylan stuff.
A lot of bands started off as doing covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Beatles album's full of covers. The first Who is, the first Hollies is.
Yeah, but like Richard said, it was in the 60s, people started writing their own songs.
Yeah.
And that's whenever it changed.
Yeah. A lot of Christmas albums as well.
Mm.
So for some of the older artists.
All right.
Yeah,
good night, Terry. Glad you enjoyed it. See you next week.
I mean, there was a lot of soundtrack albums big in the 60s. From the movies, they sold tons, didn't they?
Yeah.
King and
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Yeah, King and I, Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Sound of Music, the best-selling album of 1965.
So there you go.
Oh, it outsold everything by a country mile. It was
Well, it outsold Rubber Soul, didn't it? So that's saying something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a hot, sticky night. I think.
It is, and I need to go and water the garden.
Yes.
And I mean that with a hose, not the other way.
So we'll do the thumbnail. Got a thumbnail. Show something.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll grab something.
Preferably 60s.
Yeah.
It's very hard to put it down just to one song, isn't it?
It is. It is
Yeah.
because there was so much change.
Yeah.
It like, Buddy Holly and Ackerbilk and all those at the early 60s, all the way through to Bowie and
Maybe Waterloo Sunset.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. There we go.
There we go. See. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I'll tell you what, next week it's the wild card. It's the open night next week. So we'll be just talking about whatever you like.
Yay.
At all, it'll be a free for all, and anyone in the gallery, if you've got some gripes, or we'll discuss them as well. So thank you very much for everyone. As we say, hope you get well soon, Richard. Richard,
Michael,
forget who's Bob, Charlie. Hope you get well soon, mate, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. So there's tatty bye from us. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.
take care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. See you next week.
Bye-bye.